Hey friends, so I'm here today with Elspeth of Elspeths Kitchen. Absolutely love your vegan cheesecakes, and
Thank you.
she's always so bright and smiley at all the festivals, which is where I met you. I'm going to make a curry today. I'm going to ask you some questions. So how did you kind of get started with your company?
Oh gosh, I actually kind of say that it was a gift because I moved back to England last February and kind of started like March, April time.
Right.
I'd been in India in January and had eaten some really good raw cakes out there and been to some like amazing raw food restaurants and stuff. I kind of messed around like making raw vegan cakes before that. But I came back and I just felt really inspired, and I think it must have been something to do with being out in India as well.
Traveling, so inspirational.
Yeah, definitely. And like one of the first flavours I did, and I still do it now, is the chocolate, pistachio and rose. And that's quite Indian, isn't it? Like they use so much pistachio and they love their rose and stuff as well. So I came back and I just kind of started playing around in the kitchen again. And I'd gone vegan by then. And before that I'd been working on like super yachts as a private chef. And then I'd kind of trained in the health and nutrition, and so I'd moved away from like the whole chefing thing because I was like, well, I didn't want to do that work anymore because obviously I was cooking meat and stuff before, and so it no longer aligned with my beliefs, and so I'd kind of been like searching subconsciously for like what to do next.
Yeah.
And so I came back and started messing around making some raw cakes and took them to a couple of local restaurants, and who said they would try them out, and they would literally then ring me up the next day like, we've sold out, we need more, and I was like, what? Like, kind of not expecting it at all. They were kind of like an immediate hit, which was amazing, and it all just kind of tumbled from there really. So it wasn't like I ever sat down and did a business plan and like none of that happened.
Kind of really organic.
I've done it since, but
So what's the kind of next steps for the business?
So at the moment I'm working with an awesome designer in London who kind of been trying to do this for about a year and a half now. But yeah, essentially to make dessert pots. So
Sweet, okay.
Yeah, that kind of go on the supermarket shelves. So just making it much more accessible for everyone. Obviously at the moment, like everything is quite vulnerable because it's all individually cut and made and has to be transported. But yeah, if it can be, we're working towards individual pots, which just makes it a lot more accessible and a lot more safer to travel as well. So
yeah,
that's super exciting. So yeah, that's kind of the next step, and yeah, really looking forward to it. Loving the process, marketing, like fonts, colours, tone of voice, all of that. Yeah, it's really
important
cool
as well. So important to think about that. But like, so when you're thinking about it, how are you thinking about the packaging and like, because obviously there's levels to this veganism and like people get so into obviously the recycling thing and like making sure that it's sustainable and stuff.
So that's actually why it hasn't really happened. So I had the idea about a year and a half ago and knew that's where I wanted to take it. But I wanted it to be 100% compostable, the packaging.
Beautiful.
And there's not really anything that exists on the market. There's more now, actually, just even since I was kind of looking into it over a year ago. There's a lot more on the market now, but it's then juggling that thing of cost and having something bespoke made. Which obviously puts the cost up, and I want to make it as accessible as possible. Affordable for everyone. So it's kind of juggling all of those things at the moment.
I like the thought of, so I get to see loads of festivals and stuff now, which is always great. Even though you dodge me a lot. There's every festival I'm at, you seem to be at a different one, but no, like I love seeing someone come up to your stall and having that moment where they're like, these aren't vegan, it's cheesecake. It's like, nope, no, it's all vegan.
Yeah.
And it's just like that. I like the thought that that's going to be on a market shelf. Like someone's going to be going, what?
Yeah.
I'm going to have to try this because
Yeah.
it doesn't look like it could be vegan. Like how's this possible?
Yeah, exactly.
I love that thought that someone's going to have that experience.
Yeah. Yeah, or like eat, like we're kind of playing around with like different marketing and advertising ideas at the moment, like that, like someone eating it and then kind of being told off, like, by the way, it's vegan, and like, no, you know, because there's still this kind of perception that vegan food is boring or bland or doesn't look good, it doesn't taste good, and so it's kind of smashing down those stereotypes, which is pretty cool. Yeah,
which it's all about.
It's exciting. Yeah, it's awesome. It's really cool.
What's your actual like vegan journey? How did that all start?
So, gosh, quite a long one.
We've got time. We've got time.
So, after uni, I moved. Typical. I moved up to London and worked in London for a couple of years, and then was kind of diagnosed with polycystic ovarian syndrome.
Okay.
And then I'd always had this passion for food and cooking, and like my family is super foodie, and so I wasn't happy in London, wasn't happy with the work that I was doing, and kind of made this very quick split decision to just move to Italy and train as a chef. So at the time I loved Italian food, and made this decision, moved to Italy like within 2 months, and kind of quit all my jobs, sublet my room in London, moved to Italy, and started like a professional chef's training course.
There we go.
After that, then I started working on super yachts as a private chef. So
that's awesome.
and I think at the time I was kind of becoming like more interested in like health and nutrition, and my father had been diagnosed with kidney disease around the same, I think a bit before my diagnosis, and actually had been told that he had to go on medication straight away for the rest of his life, and refused to do so. So it's kind of, for me it was that, I guess, having someone that you respect and look up to, family member, kind of not taking the advice of doctors and kind of standing in your own power and being like, actually no, I'm going to figure this one out for myself, and I think then there's an alternative out there.
And was that like, put a lot of research into it? Like, how did you go about that?
Yeah, a lot of reading, a lot of researching, a lot of talking to people. Yeah, and then I just started kind of changing the way that I was eating as well. And then I did this while I was working on the yachts. I then started doing this course in health and nutrition, which just really opened my eyes. It was amazing. It was super interesting, really inspiring, and the more I basically found out and learnt, the more I just kept on cutting things out of my diet. So yeah, my journey into like veganism was initially through health. It's not really for that reason anymore. It's definitely more for the planet, for the animals.
They come for the health and they stay for the animals.
Yeah.
Right?
I just started kind of cutting things out, and then like kind of before I knew it, I was vegan. I was like, oh yeah, I'm vegan now. So it was kind of this gradual process.
It can maybe sometimes feel like more gradual than it is, purely because it's such a learning experience. Like, I think you learn a lot about your own body that you maybe never knew before. You never knew what you actually needed to survive and what you could thrive on and things like that. Which is really interesting. It's a really interesting kind of experience that people go through. What kind of, so obviously you're a spiritual person anyway, like in the fact that like yoga is very linked to spirituality and things like that. What else have you found since going vegan that you like, have changed your perception, or that's maybe opened your mind to different things?
I did actually. I kind of had a spiritual awakening in 2015. Which was all around the time when I fully transitioned to being vegan. And it's one of those hard things to explain, but sometimes I say this to people and they're like, what, so like someone came and visited you, or you like had this like big, and I was like, I'm like, no, like it wasn't like that. It was kind of just this awakening, like this kind of realization, and it was partly through just becoming more aware and awake of like the things that are going on around you, what actually when you're buying meat, what you're buying into, what you're funding, what you're supporting with your money.
That connection's so important.
Yeah, and just having that whole realization. So it wasn't just that, but that was definitely like a big part of it.
I always say I was so black and white before I went vegan. It wasn't just vegan, like as I've gotten older, like my mind's changed a lot. So I was always, if someone spoke to me about religion or something like that, I'd always be like, how can you believe in something that you can't see? And that so you know, you believe in someone who isn't there and things like that. And I was so like arrogant, I suppose is the word. You know, I thought I knew absolutely everything. And if I couldn't see it, feel it, touch it, like smell it, whatever, then it just wasn't real, and that was it. Like you shut up about it because it just didn't exist in my brain. But then going vegan, I think part of it's you feel like you've been lied to about certain things or been given bad information and things like that. And I say things now where I'm like, okay, we might have landed on the moon, we might not have landed on the moon. I wasn't there, I don't know. Like if I believe we did it, then I'm just trusting people. And ultimately, people say both sides. That's the thing. Like everything's confirmation bias. You can Google anything, and it will say you're right. You just go to www.imright.com, and it just says, "Yeah, you are." Like whatever you think. So now I'm kind of like, I won't be arrogant about things. I won't tell people they're wrong. Definitely, unless I feel like I genuinely know it and it's something I've experienced. But at the same time, everything. We experience life through our own eyes and what we experience, so everyone's gone on their own path and what they see is completely different to what we see, isn't it? So you can't really tell someone they're wrong about what they feel, because I've sat and had the conversations with people about religion and looked into their eyes and they genuinely feel the presence of God every day. And I'm like, just because I don't, I can't tell them.
It's not true, or it doesn't exist, or
Exactly. I feel my spirituality in completely different ways to them, and you know that's not wrong, and they're not wrong.
No.
But
it's an interesting conversation to have, definitely. It's an interesting thought. Like we definitely create our reality with our mind, with our thoughts. And I think
it's the only place it exists.
It is. There's some really great books about that actually. I love reading.
Do you read a lot?
I go through stages. I love reading. I'm trying to just get on like the Audible bandwagon or
because I like that. You do a lot of miles in the car, don't you?
Exactly. So it's like such a good opportunity to educate yourself further and kind of expand your consciousness. Exactly. Open your mind.
Beautiful.
Because the reading thing at the moment, I'm so busy with work, it's not really happening as much.
I got hooked on a phase of Malcolm Gladwell. Have you ever heard of Malcolm Gladwell stuff?
I've heard of him,
I got massively down a rabbit hole with Malcolm Gladwell. I don't know what happened. One minute I was just like getting on with my life, and the next minute I was just hooked in this like Gladwell frenzy. Everything. He talks about so many things. Like one is he's got a book called David and Goliath, and he kind of explains David and Goliath from a point of, if it happened, this is how it happened, and this is why it's told as like a parable, but at the same time like it could have been completely genuine. And it talks about it like Goliath perhaps had like perhaps he had like a physical disability and things like that. Like a tumour on the pituitary gland, which can make you grow really big, like releases loads of growth hormones and things like that. When people get that, it also makes your vision really bad. So that's why he said certain things like bring him to me and things like that. Like, so Malcolm Gladwell, I just kind of went down a rabbit hole with him. But that's why Audible is so awesome, because basically in a car, like, I know you've got to concentrate, right? I'm not saying don't concentrate, but it's kind of dead time.
Kind of is. But they do say, like, you get in the car and, like, once you've learned how to drive it, most of it's done autopilot, like, actually. You know.
Alpha state.
I think when you're cycling a bike, it might be a different thing, but.
Yeah, maybe.
need to hear when cars are coming, but yeah.
Yeah, I definitely used to be terrible for that.
I know, me
listen
too.
to so much music while I was cycling, but you're right.
Sometimes you used to put one ear in, just leave the other out.
Maybe. Yeah. Listen for them cars coming, kids. Don't be silly like us, right? Throw me under the bus right there, God. Which is kind of ironic, given what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I'm really interested to see what you start listening to.
Yeah. Well, I've got. Yeah, there's so much. I'm always being given recommendations as well. Yeah, like great stuff to read.
If you can get it on audiobook, The Art of Thinking Clearly is really good.
Who's that by?
Ralph DeBelly.
Okay.
I think it plays well with my brain because I've got quite like a technical like engineering brain, and like with me it talks a lot about kind of faults in the way you think. Things like there's one called the swimmer's body illusion, which is basically someone wants to get fit and they want to get in shape and things like that, which I think we've all thought at some time or another. And he thinks like, who are the athletes with the best bodies? Looks at swimmers and they're like, you know, weightlifters are big and bulky and like runners are really skinny. So like swimmers, look at them guys, they're like muscly and lean.
Yeah.
And he starts swimming and he never ends up looking like a swimmer, and it's because the people who were tall and lean were kind of good at swimming because they were tall and lean genetically.
Okay, yeah.
So it's like little faults in the way you think.
Well, actually, I was having an interesting conversation with some friends the other night about. This is a funny thing. So I did what did I do? I did the Blenheim Triathlon quite a few years ago now. Actually, it's when I was living in London, and I had signed up to do the Blenheim and the London Triathlon because I've never been a strong swimmer, and I've always kind of had this fear of swimming. Like, love being on the water, like give me a jet ski, water ski, whatever, like happy. But put me in it, and after 2 minutes I'm like, yeah, I'm like just ready to get back out now. So I kind of challenged myself. Like, I knew that if I signed up for something,
you'd have to do something,
then I'd have to do it, and I'd have to train properly. So it would kind of like force me into this situation. So basically, yeah, I have a friend that has a swim school, so she started giving me like lessons.
That's
like,
cool.
Yeah, lessons for swimming, like private lessons. Well, I can't swim, but you know, just to improve my technique. And anyway, so the conversation I was having with the guys the other night was, I can't remember who the author was, but he was basically just saying like, actually we don't ever get better in life by focusing on, that kind of sounds wrong, essentially by focusing on our negatives. Like, actually, if we've got a strength, like focus on that, like give all your energy to that. And like if you're running a company, like we were looking like Einstein, like Bill Gates, all of them, like they did what they were good at, and the things they weren't good at, they then got the best of the best in to like fill that gap, because they knew that they just had to focus on what they were best at. There's something to like the schooling system that's always like, so this is going to go on for ages.
No, so much. I completely agree.
But like, you know, so some people are like absolutely amazing at maths, like got such a mathematical brain, but then they might not be so good at English. And rather than, you know, they might be put in the top group for maths, but they're then, you know, forced or like told that they have to, you know, really work harder on doing better English and bringing that grade up. So we kind of get to this like average level, or rather than being like, no, like you've got a natural talent for mathematics, so like focus all of your energies on that. Like when we get a job when we're older, we get a job that, you know, naturally we're good at, so why don't we do that in the schooling system as well? You know, it's
100%.
kind of,
if you judge a fish on its ability to climb a tree, then it's going to live its whole life thinking it's stupid, right? The Einstein quote. And you know why they try and get you up to average? Because they're judged on average. They're judged on like the whole schooling system is judged on people getting to that kind of average point, and anyone who, like, did you know that in the schooling system, one of the things that they set as a target every year, like governmental target, is to close the gap between like the bottom and average. By doing that, the easiest way to do it is to not focus on the top people either. So never really let anyone excel, never really bother to do that, because it's never going to close that gap. So I think there's a lot of schools, and I think Sweden's one of them. I'll be corrected on that.
Yeah.
They've changed the system in that they don't let people. They don't encourage people to do like their English, maths and science and stuff until they're a lot older.
Yeah.
And they actually spend a lot of the time when they're younger, like actually playing and learning other things, which is just as important, right? It's a really important part of socialising and things like that.
And wasn't it Einstein as well that was like, actually the most important thing we've got is imagination, and it's not knowledge. It's imagination, because we can dream anything up in our heads, but like knowledge has to be learnt. But if you can dream something, like that's the seed of an idea, and if you can then bring that idea into reality, like that's so much more powerful. Like you're creating something in your mind. Like of course every thought starts as a seed.
So if you could have a superpower,
what would it be?
What would it be?
Oh gosh.
I think I always end up back at teleport.
Yeah.
Always end up back there. I've played with flying. Flying would be awesome, but I think teleportation. I think that's maybe just born out of impatience though.
What, you want to go to the future and see what's happening?
Oh no, just teleportation in terms of like, I want to go on holiday, but I'm there now. Do you know what I mean? Like travelling is. Would
you go back and forth in time though?
If I could have that as part of
your teleportation device.
Yeah.
Why not?
Yeah, why not? I'd have to have that thing, in films where like you grab someone, you both teleport. Yeah. I'd have to have that.
Okay.
It'd be boring.
So would we go together?
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely boring, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Like, you don't just
have someone to share this.
Yeah, you don't want to like just ditch your friends all the time. They'd be so boring. So, as normal, I've barely even talked about the dish, which I never do. So, in here we've got onions, spinach, some garlic puree and some ginger puree. I've put some chilies in there, quite a lot of chilies really, it's pretty spicy. Garam masala, curry powder, tofu, lentils, some bulgur wheat, and I've put some cumin and coriander and a little bit of agave syrup for that tiny bit of sweetness. I've forgotten anything? You making notes?
No, I was,
You meant to make notes, you were meant to tell it.
It's all written down.
You were meant to write the recipe for this as I went. Oh god.
Team effort.
We have to start.
I failed.
You have to start again now. So yeah, have a little taste.
Amazing.
See what you think.
Thank you. That's very good.
There we go.
Get it right in there. Still really hot.
So hot. Yeah. Apologies.
Oh gosh, it's so good.
Pretty flavourful, but yeah, pretty spicy. It will kick. It will kick in a minute.
I'll wait for it. Oh, it's really good.
An absolute pleasure speaking to you today. We've been trying to set this up for absolutely ages, right?
I know, so long.
She's been ignoring my calls. She's never messaging me back. I'm just like, does she want to do it or what? But yeah, absolutely fantastic. So your Instagram is?
Elspeth's Kitchen.
And that's also the name of the business, which is
and the website.
So check her out all the festivals. Hopefully there's some awesome new products coming, which I'm really excited for.
There is.
So yeah, be nice to each other, guys. I'm going to be making this as a complete standalone recipe video as well, so you can look out for that. It's coming real soon. Be nice to each other, and goodbye.